Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to be here today and chatting with you, but especially chatting here with Cristi. Cristi and I haven't known each other super long. We met through our company. She's still a little bit a part of and will probably always be, it sounds like. But I am so grateful for those relationships that I'm able to find and build because she is this phenomenal woman. And the first time we talked, I was like, we're going to be friends. And we've just been chatting before trying to get ready for this. And I love her. So Cristi, will you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. I am Dr. Cristi Grace Chauncey. I go by Cristi Grace. I'm the CEO of Cristi Grace LLC, which is a new endeavor that I've started. And then I'm also the founder of the Single Soul Sisterhood, which is a Facebook group here on Facebook that I started probably about 7 months ago as a new venture. And but I've lifetime speech pathologist. I've done that for 25 years, and on my way out of that, mom of two. I'm single mom of two. I've been single for about 15 years now, and I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old who are my world, and why I've made these new jumps and ventures, and why I do everything pretty much. So glad to be here.
Awesome. That is what I was just going to ask you next is tell me your why. So let's talk about your Single Soul Sisterhood first. Let's start with that because there's always a why and there's always a story behind it. So will you share that with us?
Sure. I guess back in February or March, I was like, my son's about to go to college. I don't have the money. I've worked for 25 years in a job, and yet I still can't get ahead. I don't have what I want. I don't have the freedom that I want. I don't have the time freedom I want. I don't have the money that I want. And yet, and my kids are about to leave home. I'm about to lose the time with them that I do have. And I thought this was just a huge catalyst. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to do something different. And so I hired a business coach, and because I was in network marketing, I hired a business coach to kind of help me learn how to automate things, how to make things simpler, how to do things. Well, one of the things that she taught us was building a Facebook group, building a group of your tribe of people that are like you, that you can relate to. And when I did this, I realized that I have this huge part of me that wanted to reach out to single moms. Being 15 years post single mom, and raising two boys by myself and trying to figure out all the ins and outs, it was like, wait a minute, I think I can help women. I think I can, help you get there faster than I did, or at least
Share
help
some
you get
insights. Yeah.
organized,
Share what you've learned along the way.
Yes, a lot faster than I did. So I started creating the group, and then it just became bigger and bigger, and I just love it. And I love the women that are in there, and I just love that we have a place to go that's positive and encouraging. And we're there to learn, and I do trainings in there, and we do like outings and stuff. We try to meet up those that can. And it's just kind of become my thing, like I love having it, and I love those women, and I don't know. It's just, it's been awesome. So
That's incredible. So have you always had women friends? Like, have you always had like a solid group of people of support in your life?
never.
So what's that been like to have that now?
Yeah, it's huge. Because most of my life, I grew up in I grew up in an environment that was not healthy for me. Let's just say that. And so I grew up, very insecure. I grew up never feeling like I was good enough. And like, I had a hard time relating to people. I was very much an introvert. I didn't talk to people. People took me wrong. They took me as stuck up or quiet, and I wasn't, but I just was really, really quiet, and I was really introverted, and I didn't know how to build friendships or have friendships like that. And so part of my healing process, part of me getting past my past was realizing that I needed to find people who were safe, people that made me feel good, people that
Yeah.
empowered me,
Yeah.
people that were on my side, people that would encourage me and love me and not expect
Yeah.
me to be something.
Lifting you up, not pulling you
Exactly.
down. Yeah.
And so that's why it's kind of like I love this group now, because I feel like now I even have a place to say, hey, if you don't have a group, come to us, come
Yeah.
with us and hang out with us, because even if it's just virtual, it's better than nothing. So
What was it that you said to put your past in the past? How did you phrase that?
Putting my past to the past, like getting past my past.
Getting past my past. I like that because it's so simple. It means so much. And I think all of us have something from our past that we need to get over, that we need to move on from, that we need to step away from. And so I like that. Thank you. That's a cute little quote. That's simple to remember and easy. You would think I'd remember because it was just cute.
Yeah.
So what about your marriages? You and I talked a little bit about your first two were tough. What are you willing to share about those?
That's okay. I'll share anything. I feel like my story is who I am and why I am. Feel like I can help people because my first marriage was first 3 years. It was like I was 19. We never had children, but it was physically abusive. My best friend would tell me that I would be body slammed, when we were drinking. And so I quit drinking, and that kind of stopped the physical abuse because I wasn't drinking and I wouldn't fight back with him. But I mean, I do remember being slammed up against doors and, anything that wouldn't show a sign. He never did anything that anyone else could see. But I had friends tell me, things that he did to me, and I don't even remember them. Part of me, I had something happen at 14, which caused me to, I now know, have PTSD, and I don't have any memory of like 14 to 25. And that was when I was married to him. And then the second marriage was the father of my children. And although we can be friends now, it was not a healthy situation for me. It was a very, very non-healthy, verbally, emotionally abusive. I don't like to say anything bad about my kid's dad because he's the best dad that he can be, but our dynamic was very awful. I think because of my upbringing and because of just our dynamic and everything. When I left, I was on 6 medications. I was just a shell. I mean, I really had lost myself completely. But yet I had 2 boys, and I was like, I got to figure this out because these 2 boys are my life. And part of me thought I'd never have children, and God knew differently. God was like, no, you're having children because you're going to need them one day to make sure you get out of the bed. So,
yeah. Well, and I think, so I grew up where we are taught divorce shouldn't be an option or isn't an option. And I do believe that to an extent. When there is abuse, though, I think that is absolutely necessary to get yourself out of that situation. And not only for yourself, but even for your kids. I think sometimes it's that wake-up call that maybe they do try to be better because they now see that their children are being affected. But I have a brother and sister-in-law that just recently it's been like 3 years. It feels recent. But they were just really toxic for each other and good people individually. But when you're poking and prodding at each other on purpose, that's not healthy. That is very toxic.
Right.
So 14. Do you care to share? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened to you at 14?
I was sexually assaulted and raped at 14 as a virgin by my high school boyfriend. And I never told anyone until told my children when they were at that age where they could understand. They were the first people I told.
Wow.
And it was powerful. Shortly after I opened up to them, I went through a process through my church that helped me. What I thought was him. I went into the program to process him and ended up processing my father, just because I still had some feelings and things that, it kind of dominoed, like where did my feelings about men start and that kind of thing. And so when I did that, what happened through that process was I realized that because of that, I broke the cycle, because of that process, because of what happened to me at 14, I have this like superhero ability to relate to other people. And my compassion level is like skyrocketed because of that, because I honor people's no's and I honor people's rights, and I fight for the underdog, and I fight for that person who doesn't feel like they have a voice, and I fight for those kinds of things. And that's who's created who I am.
You're a protector. Yeah.
Yeah. And by going through that, I now see the silver lining of it. And I'm grateful that it happened because I know that my children will never deal with abuse or or, dysfunction in the way that I had dealt with it growing up. And I, if you were to meet my parents, it's not that we had this, ugly, abusive, horrible growing up. It's just that the environment that I grew up in is I did not ever feel good enough. I never felt like my voice mattered. I never felt like, and so people are different in different situations. It doesn't mean the situation was necessarily bad, but it was bad for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a relationship with my father. And so by not having that good, close relationship with him is why I believe that I, in turn, hooked up with people that were not healthy for me. And then I continued that until I processed him, which was 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When I finally processed.
Do you think you were just seeking that love that you felt like you needed and didn't get?
I think I was trying desperately to feel that love. And so I would do whatever and anything that they wanted. And I wanted to make them happy. I wanted to please them. I was a huge people pleaser. And I'm not that person anymore. I'm like, you either like me, you love me, or you leave me. I don't care. Like, I have to be me.
I'm a recovering people pleaser and recovering fixer. So yes, I get that. I can't relate to some of the other things, but I get that. Wow. Okay. So I already loved and respected you, but now I just can't even tell you how much more that. So my mom was abused growing up and sexually abused, and that, watching what her journey has been like and that healing process that is an ongoing process. It doesn't just end just because she blocked it for many years. And so just because you now know and now you're dealing with it, like, that doesn't end. Those triggers happen. And so did you feel like you experienced that within marriage where triggers would occur and you weren't sure how to handle those, or what do you think?
Well, I think that because of that, when I did enter into marriages, I entered into marriages with men who, once again, controlled me, wanted me to
Disrespectful.
follow a certain set of rules that they had. They wanted to control the situations. I've always been attracted to that person because I don't know how much you know about narcissism or psychopaths or whatever, but my thing is people who grow up in trauma themselves, therefore continue the trauma routine. Right. And so, I look at the trauma that my first husband had and the trauma that my second husband had in his life. And I know why. I now know why they were who they were, but they were not healthy for me. And so I just perpetuated that because I would date people who were not healthy for me, who were not, and it wasn't until I learned who I was and learned that me being me was okay. When I learned that me being me was okay, and that if someone didn't like that, that was not my problem. I wasn't supposed to change to make them happy, that I was supposed to be me. And if they didn't like me, then that's their choice.
Yeah.
But it's a lot about learning those boundaries and learning how to care for yourself and how to care for the people that are in your environment. I don't have people in my environment anymore that are not healthy for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have limited time interactions and things because that's just life. I mean, you're not ever going to be around everybody that loves you. That's not going to happen. But I now know that who I am is okay, and I think that was a huge part of my healing was that. And I can look back now and see how all of the red flags and all of the things that were unhealthy about our relationships, I can see them. But when I was going through it, I didn't know what normal was. And so I just did what my normal was, which was not normal.
I keep thinking of the saying, hurt people hurt people. And Absolutely. I think that's so true until they know better. But it's all about perception of what we see or what we grow up with. We tend to think that is the normal, whether it's a healthy normal or not. That is what we think of. But yeah, I was listening to Trent Shelton's book the other day, and he talks about bridges, and he says you may not want to totally burn the bridge, but you may want to rebuild the bridge. And I like how you said that you keep a healthy group of people in your life, and we all have those people that we have to limit. build those healthy boundaries, healthy walls. And that's, I think, super hard to do personally. So if you ever have any good tips, I'm definitely up for that. But it is so important to set those because you are worth it. Mm-hmm. Your personal health, wellness, sanity, happiness, joy is worth putting up those boundaries where needed.
Right. Well, and I have learned that, I have to be okay with the decisions that I make. And if I make a decision that I'm not good doing that, or I'm not comfortable doing something, or comfortable seeing someone, I don't go.
Yeah.
If I have a reason to feel uncomfortable in that situation, I don't go anymore. And I hurt people's feelings that way. But I have learned that when I go against my gut, when I go and try and do something and my gut is saying, I'm not good here, I'm not comfortable here, this is not what I need to do, in my situation, I get sicker because I'm forcing myself to do something that I'm not aligned with. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that, I don't go to work if I don't want to go. You have to do things in your life.
There are those people that would love that as the excuse, and that's not how this works.
But in my personal life, I can choose if I want to go visit you, or if I want to spend time with you, or if I don't want to spend time with you. That's perfectly normal. And I think too often we push people to do things that they don't feel comfortable doing, or they're not. And
they use skill and manipulation and shame. And and those are things, I didn't grow up in a home where I experienced those. So when I did experience those as an adult, it was like it threw me for a bit of a loop, because I didn't know how to respond to that. And being a people pleaser, I wanted to please and make people happy. And then I was realizing, but this isn't making me happy. This wasn't bettering my life or my marriage or my children's lives. You kind of have to play that out, you know what I mean? And see, how is this going to affect later? Because right now is where the memories are occurring and then happening. And if it's not a healthy thing right now, the memories aren't going to be good later. Right. It's funny because I do believe there's two different people. We have the people who grow up in an unhealthy environment and they have to learn what safe is. And then you have the people who grew up in a safe environment and they have to learn what unsafe is. That's one of the things. A good friend of mine right now is, he grew up in such a wonderful family and a wonderful situation and a wonderful life. And he's everybody's friends and he loves everybody and he wants to be friends with everybody. And he thinks that everybody he grew up with is still going to love him, and everybody or have good intentions, or is respectful, or is going to be kind. Right.
Everybody's good. Everybody's safe. Everybody loves him too. And he's learning that that's not the truth, and then I had to learn, wow, there really are safe people that will accept me for who I am. They accept me no matter what. I don't have to perform. I think that was probably one of the biggest things, is I've always felt like in my life I had to perform to be accepted. And I don't feel that way anymore,
and that takes so much energy to do that, because being you is just so much easier, for sure. But being comfortable with being you, I love that. So I was going to try just to go a couple minutes longer as well, but I really want you to take a moment and talk about your LLC.
Okay. I started Cristi Grace because I wanted to build a brand around me, just because, we all have things that we want to do. And part of my single soul sisterhood is loving on these women, loving on single moms, helping them to grow and learn and know that they're not alone and not that they're not overwhelmed. But with my LLC, it gives me the open opportunity to pursue other things as well. And so one of my big dreams is to be able to speak to domestic violence victims. I get emotional when I talk about this, but speaking to women who've been abused, speaking to pregnant teens, because I've experienced that as well. And I wasn't given options, when I was younger. And then my the things that I've been through, the fact that I've survived cancer, I've survived, all this stuff. It's like, I want to be able to speak to women. I want to be able to help women understand that they are so amazing and so beautiful and so perfect just the way they are. And that no matter where they've come from or no matter what they feel about themselves today, that in 6 months they can be a completely different person. And so part of my part of my plan with Cristi Grace is I have created some courses that I'm doing. I have an organization, organizing your life course. I called Bold New Beginnings. I have the Getting Past Your Past course is called Bold New Breakthrough. And then I have a business course. If you want to start your own business, like where do you start and how do you what are the steps to kind of get started? And then I'm also working on a bold new budget. So working on that as well for a money makeover, because as single moms or as women, sometimes we don't know how to manage the money and those types of things. And so I have that one coming, and I will be starting a podcast soon called Bold New You. And I'm just super excited because I want to share my story, and I want people to understand that no matter where you've been, the last 6 months of my life I've done a 180, and I'm just in a completely different place. And I believe that God gives us these whispers and tells us that to do these things because he has a plan. And for 10 years, I've squished it down and said, I can't, I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have the ability. I didn't believe enough in myself. And so I hope to be able to speak to women and know that if you have a dream on your heart, if you're an entrepreneur at heart, or you just have a desire to speak, or a desire to tell your story, or a desire to do something bigger than you, if you know you're meant for more, it's I want them to know that they are, and then here's how you do it, and so that's been kind of become my mission, and where I want to go with it. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about all of it. So.
Well, I know for myself, you have a huge heart that I can just feel coming from you. And those women in your group are lucky ladies. I'm going to have to join that group, well, I probably can't. Is there
I tell everybody it's targeted for single moms, but every mom, every woman is invited. I don't let dudes in. No dudes.
I like that.
But women, any woman is able to come to it because I don't limit it. It's just when I talk, I'm talking to single moms because
from that perspective, yes.
That's who I know. That's who I am. Yeah. So.
Well, after we end here, if you'll put your LLC in it, do you have a website? I'm guessing.
I do.
And then if you'll put your Single Soul Sisterhood Facebook group in there so that if people watch this and want to know more or be a part of all that, they can. Cristi, I love you. You are an amazing woman. I'm so glad to know you and call you friend. And I appreciate you getting on here and sharing your story with us because it's definitely a story worth hearing.
Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, if there are women out there that want to chat, want to talk, I'm here. It feeds my soul when I get to speak to women and help them realize how amazing they are. I will give a plug for Mickey Hood. She was my woman. She came into my life and made me feel like I could do anything. She was just a friend that I met at church, but she was the first person that made me believe that I was unstoppable. And I will always love her. And so I hope to someday be that woman for other people, You
probably already are. You probably
I do have a few friends that say that, but that's what I want to be. I want to give women that chance. So,
well, and I also love, we as women, I think there's so much competition out there, and really it's the cheer each other on. There was a video somebody shared the other day where the woman gets pulled up and then pushed up and then pulled up. And I'm like, but that is what it should be. Right. That is what it should be. We should be cheering each other on. And I don't usually like the word should, but because I always
should on yourself.
Yeah. Our part of shitting on yourself. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am. But really, we should be each other's cheerleaders and telling them, yes, you can, and you are worth it, and you are enough. Those are things I think women need to hear. And so I love what you're doing. I'm so excited to know you and be a part of it and continue to learn and hear more. So Cristi, thank you so much. And y'all have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Bye. Bye-bye.